Hey friends, thanks for tuning into this video. This is going to be covering step number 3 in building your worship set for a Sunday service in Ableton. In this video we're going to cover actually adding song content, multi-track content into your set so that when you press play it actually plays things instead of just progressing the cursor but you don't hear anything. So to do that we're going to come out of this view and go back into full screen view. We don't need to see our service in Planning Center for this part because we added all of the information that we need. We added all the information about the title of the song and the key onto our locator for that song. So we're going to go back into full screen view, and over here on the left you're going to see this browser pane which has a few kind of shortcuts to places on our hard drive that we want to be able to access. I've added the folder local Ableton files, which you probably remember is where we saved our service. We saved our service into this week's worship set. You can see it right there. But up above that is arrangement view songs. So if you click and unfold this folder, you'll see all these songs. This is our whole library of songs that have been created in Ableton for us to use in this process and add to a service. So what I'm going to do basically is just find my first song, Uncontainable Love, and what you're looking at right now is a bunch of folders. So these are the project folders for all these songs. So this is the Uncontainable Love project folder, and if I were to try and drag this into my set, nothing would happen because I can't drag a whole project in. But if I unfold the project, I can drag this .als file in. So you see it says .als, that stands for Ableton Live Set, and I can drop this file in. You can see also the icon is different, a folder versus a file. So I can drop the file in where it says drop files and devices here. It takes a second to load, but now that's going to drop in all the content. So if I were to click play, let's say at the verse of this song, it's going to play the verse. You probably can't hear that. I have the headphones in right now, but I can hear it playing. That's perfect. The only thing is I want that to play at a different point in the service, right? I want that to start where this first locator is. And so what I need to do is now drag all of this content horizontally to land right there. So I'm going to click the first clip of that content that I just dropped in. I'm going to scroll down to the last clip, which is Vox FX. Usually that'll be a vocal clip. They're usually organized pretty well from top to bottom. So click on the last clip, and now you can see everything that's kind of backlit with this bluish green tint is going to be selected. Now if I start dragging things around, it'll drag all of it, right? So I'm going to zoom in because it's hard when you're zoomed all the way out like this. It's hard to accurately drag this content over and land on that little line. So I'm going to zoom in relatively close, not super close, but so that I can see the beginning of the song only. So I can see, just the first few sections of the song. I'm going to click, drag it around a little bit while I'm holding it down. I'm clicking and holding. Make sure I've got a good grip on everything. And you can see all of my tracks or all of my clips are moving with my cursor, not just like that one, the 4/4 clip, but all of them. And then I'm going to press the 1 button on the keyboard. And that 1 button is tied to the first locator, and it's going to automatically move my window over to the first locator. And that's just easier than trying to drag it to the side and progress forward. If I press the 1 button, it takes me right where I want to reference, which is that first song. And then I drop it so that the beginning of the song lines up with the locator. Perfect. Now what I want to do, this is a little bit of a complex idea, but it'll make more sense as we go through the videos and through the rest of the process. Remember the first view, when you open up Ableton Live, I mentioned that it opens this default set that has these tracks in it. It has this content already loaded in. It's got these gray tracks and then these 7 red tracks. And then you notice when I dropped in my Uncontainable Love file, it doubled up those tracks. So it's got the exact same thing. Click, tempo, stop, skip, markers, original track, trigger, slide, cues. There's a duplicate now of all those. Well, I don't want to have, it's kind of messy to have that many tracks in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to consider these first red tracks that were originally here. I'm going to call those my master tracks for click, tempo, stop, skip. And all of the clips that contain that type of content, which is always going to be in red, for each one of my songs, all of the clips for each one of my songs are going to be contained in just these 7 tracks. So I'm not going to add 7 more tracks each time I add a song. And to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to kind of consider these the packaging that this content came in, and consider these the master tracks that I want this content to actually live inside of for my service. So I'm going to click on the 4/4 clip to select it. I'm going to scroll to the end of my song, and I'm going to shift click just past the end of my song in the cues track to select all of that red content. I'm going to leave all this purple content here. All I want is the red content right now. And I'm going to drag that vertically up the same way that I drug all of my clips horizontally over to line up on this locator. Now I'm going to drag all of my red clips vertically up into these red tracks that are going to be my master red tracks. And I'm going to delete the packaging that they came in, which is these red tracks. And all that does is just keep your workspace looking clean and neat, so you don't have a bunch of duplicate tracks and things like that to worry about. These are just the master tracks, and they're tied to some different buttons, MIDI controller buttons and stuff for our service. So it's important to make sure you delete the additional extra red tracks that came with the song content, and that you use these red tracks that were originally here. So I'm going to do the same. So what we've done now is we've added content for Uncontainable Love. We've moved it to the right place. We've gotten rid of our extra red tracks that came along when I dropped in my ALS file. And now I'm just going to repeat the process. So that was the first song. I can fold up my group so that it's nice and clean and neat. I'm going to jump over to the second locator, which is Grateful, and find Grateful's project here. Unfold it. Find the ALS file for Grateful and drop that in where it says Drop Files and Devices here. That's perfect. And you see, I'm over here where I want my song. I can see that it dropped in the tracks, but where's my content? If you look up here in the scrub bar, it's over here on the far left. That's just naturally where it's going to drop it. So you have to do that process every time. You have to click on the top of the clip, or the first clip in the ALS file, and then scroll down to the bottom and shift click on the last one so that all of them are backlit with that blue to signify that they're selected. Oops, I just zoomed out really far for some reason. So I'm going to zoom back in, focus in on the beginning of my song, right, because I'm trying to line it up with this line over here at locator 2. I'm going to grab the top clip now that they're all selected, and I'm going to drag it around a little bit just to make sure that I have a good grip on all of them. Press the 2 button on the keyboard, and you can see that zoom me over to the second locator. I'm going to drop it so that it lines up with that second locator. And then remember what I said, I need to get rid of my extra red tracks that I just dropped in here. I want to move all this content up to what will be the master tracks for click and tempo and stuff. So I'm going to click on this. Really all I have to do is deselect all of these song clips, but I'm going to click on the 4/4 clip to select it, and then I'm going to shift click out past the end of the song on the cues track and drag all of this content vertically upward into my master tracks. And then after that I delete the extra tracks, packaging, and then I can fold this up. And so this is starting to shape up to look the way that we want our Ableton service to look. It's getting more of the major components of it. Tune in. I'm gonna add these after this video, but tune in for the next video where we're going to cover changing time signatures and keys to match. If the original key here is A, we need to change the key signature to D so that the worship leader can sing this song in D and it's not going to play in A and B. Gross. So, all right, thanks. We'll see you on the next video.